Jeremy, 22-point victors today, mate. An important win for you guys, but it was probably a slightly patchy performance.
Yeah, I think you're about right. I thought the intensity all day from our players was pretty good. Obviously had a pretty young team in today. I thought at times we played some really good footy, controlled the ball well. Look, to the Tigers' credit, they just kept coming and their fast footy, when you allow them to move the ball and shift defence, is really good. So look, just for us, it's good to get a win, get back on the winners list, build some momentum into the first final against Lauderdale next week. Yeah,
you're probably able to control the game a bit better in those key patches, especially the second quarter. I think you guys kicked 5 goals to nothing, and that was probably what set you up for the second half.
Yeah, I thought our ball use, in terms of when we were in slow play, we were able to control the ball and move it down the ground, and I suppose set up defensively behind the ball. We were able to create forward half turnovers. So that's probably our game. We probably got to get up and going throughout the second quarter at times. Today, the momentum of the game shifted their way just because the game was so fast all the time. But young group, they'll learn. The main thing is we walk away with 4 points.
Yeah, I guess when the game did slow down, you must have been happy with how well defensively you were able to set up.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We had 4 or 5 teenagers in today. A couple of one first gamer and 3 or 4 guys under 10 games. So for those guys to come in and know the system and play the system was really good. They're obviously going to make some mistakes and laps here and there, but I thought for the majority of the day they could control the game.
Yeah, in that last quarter they were only pretty close. I think the speed that they play with for so long probably. You're probably right. It's their last 30 minutes of footy for the year, and they were a few goals down, being behind all game. So I think they just threw caution to the wind. It probably took us 5 or 6 minutes, 10 minutes to get the game back on our terms. By probably the last 10 minutes, I thought we controlled the game. Got the ball inside 50. Neil did kick a nice goal, which sort of lost the game late, which was nice. As you mentioned before, Launceston got up today, so you missed the top 3, but you'll be at home next week against Lauderdale.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Look, whether we finish 3rd or 4th or 5th, wherever it was, it's just about making sure that we got a win today. We're going to our arch rival Lauderdale next week. We rate them extremely highly. We think they're probably been the form team over the last back end of the year. Take out North Launceston, they've probably been the form team the last 10 weeks. So yeah, look, we go in probably underdogs. We're not too sure who we're going to get back. But look, the boys are really looking forward to the challenge. I said during the week in the media that I know this group will bring effort and intent. So we'll bring that next week and see where it leads us.
Yeah, as you said, a few names are missing. You'll be hoping to get back, and also Ryan Bailey spent a bit of time off today, but he'll be okay for next week.
Yeah, look, Ryan just got a knee in the back, so we probably, I suppose, went a little bit cautious with him. We just put him on ice, and hopefully he can recover well and be back up for next week. It's obviously a really important player for us, so Ruckman. So we need to make sure that he does the right things over the next few days when he's back for next week.
Will that rivalry with the Bombers be spoken about during the week, or will the focus be on that it's a final?
No, look, I think if you talk about the rivalry and pumping up the game too much, players go out there and they don't execute. Look, at the end of the day, you can pump them up as much as you want, but that only lasts for 5 minutes. It's about doing the things that make us a good team for 120 minutes. Like, I know it's a cliche, but that's just reality. As I said before, Lauderdale, I think they're an extremely good team. They're extremely dangerous. They're probably the best. I suppose they challenge us the most in terms of how they score, their ability to transition the ball. So, we rate them very highly, but we'll come and put some pressure on them and see where it leads us.
Yeah, obviously important to get Trent standing back today. Thought he was pretty good throughout the day.
Yeah, I thought Speedy's, he's a class player. I think he's won 4 or 5 of our leading goal kickers the last 4 or 5 years. But I thought his defensive pressure was pretty good today. Dangerous around goals, wanting to get better for the run. He pulled up really well. So we know that he's a proven player in finals. He'll stand up next week.
Can we expect any of those senior players back? So more of a wait and see day during the week?
It's probably just a wait and see. We've got obviously a lot of impact injury, so it's more about how they actually progress. It's not like a soft tissue one where you can sort of put a timeline on it a little bit. It's just how they recover and how the swelling goes down, and whether they're actually fit enough, ready to go. I suppose we're in a position now where we could get up to 6 back, but you have 6 guys at 80%, or do you just back in some fit soldiers? So we need to have a think about that and make sure we get the mix right.
Obviously pretty pleasing that those young guys can still step up and fill the void.
Yeah, well, I think we had our 15th debutant today, which I reckon the club's had for probably 20 years. So
Yeah, look, it shows that, you know, everyone probably thinks we're a little bit of an older list, but we've got some guys that can really play, some younger guys that can play. So, as I said before, those guys will come in, they'll bring effort, they know the system. If it's good enough next week against a really good team, it is. And we'll see how we go next week.
Trent, another A-class effort from your boys today, but unfortunately just couldn't get the job done.
Yeah, I thought we were really good. Probably it's the second week in a row that red time in the second quarter sort of cruelled us a bit, you know. And then, you know, we ground away in the third quarter. I think we kicked, it was 2 goals to none at the 20-minute mark, and then we leaked a couple of goals again. So, but yeah, the effort was there, and the last quarter was really good. You know, I thought we took the game on, and we moved the ball really fast, probably the fastest that we probably had for a while, and we were able to spread. And but yeah, just fell short. Probably was that 20-point margin, or you know, the margin that we went in at half time due to that sort of letting it slip in red time in the second quarter, which was the end margin of the game. We were sort of chasing a bit of tail in the second half.
Yeah, they're able to lock you down for pretty long stretches in a few places, but also when you guys got out and you really challenged them.
Yeah, I think it was pretty much both ways. Like watching from the coach's box, any time that they were able to sort of get out into space, they got us out the back with a few goals in as well, and then we were able to do that. So it sort of ended up being like the old staring match in the schoolyard. Sort of was whoever was going to blink first was going to get it on their terms. So yeah, and they probably did that a little bit longer than we did over the 120 minutes today.
Yeah, your midfield was pretty impressive for most of the day. You matched them at the contest. Will Campbell was excellent. He's been excellent all year.
Yeah, I thought Will and Sam Dyggan and Blake Grant. I think one of the positives, if you can have a positive from Ryan Matthews getting injured, because obviously we want Ryan out there every week, is the fact that it's been able to bring Blake Grant into the midfield, and he's sort of really turned himself into a TSL level midfielder now at senior level. And you know, then in the back end, the last couple, when Lockie Clifford goes down, we bring Sammy Dyggan in more, and we've been able to introduce Connor Bryant into the midfield a little bit as well. So you got to try and take some positives out of those injuries. Obviously, we want those guys on the park every week, but I thought that group, and Huey Johnson in the ruck the whole day, sort of pretty much without rotation today. You know, he's been pretty sore in the back end of the year, but he never complains, and he gave us first use for most of the day, which was really good.
Yeah, Mitch Carter was fantastic as well. He was one of the boys leading that last quarter charge. 4 goals, he's a big hole to fill, obviously.
Yeah, Carts is going to be tough to replace. I think we said to him, you know, as we were doing our little debriefs and thank yous after the game, we sort of said, you know, he's probably going to end up making Team of the Year 2 years in a row, one as a defender, the next year as a forward, and but you know, he's going back, you know, for work and family, and you know, we bear no ill will from that. You know, we happily let him go, and we thank him for the service that he's given us over the 2 years he's been here. He won the BNF last year. He's probably going to be right up there again. And yeah, his last quarter, we sort of said to him at 3/4 time, have you got one more in you for us? And you know, when he kicked those 2 goals in a row, and when we were coming down the bottom end, and thought we might have been able to run over the top and pinch it, but unfortunately it wasn't to be.
Yeah, looking back on the year, obviously this match was probably pretty emblematic of the year. Some really good quarters, but maybe not just enough consistency over 120 minutes to get the job done.
Yeah, and that's, you know, I think that's what Clarence showed today. Obviously, they're down on a little bit of personnel, but everyone who came in, their ability to work hard offensively and defensively, keep spreading. You know, you see Brady Jones get spread out hard to create space for someone else, and that's really good for our group to see and talk about. And you know, because that's where we've got to get to. And yeah, you know, it was sort of the game as a whole. It probably was symptomatic of our year. You know, we're really happy in terms of our effort and our competitiveness. I think we only lost 3 games by over 10 goals this year. So everything's been around that 4-5 goal mark. Or you know the Lauderdale one, which we lost by a point. So yeah, really pleasing. So you know, we've got to take what we've learnt this year and channel that into learning to win, and you know, getting a little bit more ruthless around that. And you know, that's our challenge for next year moving forward.
Yeah, in your eyes, where does the bulk of that improvement come from? You mentioned before red time's been big for you. Quite a young group. I guess another year sort of fitness will help that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, when you start to leak goals in red time or you concede a couple, that probably is that concentration under fatigue. Like, you know, I thought today probably our transition between our phases of offence and defence could have been a lot better. Like, you know, as soon as that ball turns over and Clarence get the ball in their hands, is finding your opponent or finding the most dangerous. And, you know, we have been a little bit over the years slow to react in patches. Like, when we get it right, you know, we're pretty good, and I think we're hard to play against. So, yeah, that's that challenge of decision making under fatigue, and you know, and we can train for that scenario based stuff, which we have and which we'll do over the pre-season. And like you said, getting games into these guys this year, you know, a young guy like Ben Graham, who's only 18 years old, played all 18 games this year. So, you know, he's just, you know, had a full year of senior football. So, you know, he gets a pre-season now to go and work on what he needs to work on to make him an even better player now. So it's been really pleasing to it's been sort of one of those little blessings in disguises with the injuries we have. You know, Mitch Cook as a 17-year-old, Bailey Gordon as a 17-year-old, giving them opportunity probably before we thought they were going to get it. So, yeah, onwards and upwards with them.
Yeah, and I guess as well yourself and a fairly large chunk of the playing group just having another year in the Canberra setup will do wonders.
Yeah, that's it. You know, you bring new players in, you have a new coach, a different game style, different philosophies, and, you know, not too much is going to change now in the way that we play footy or the way we want to set up. So, you know, obviously we're going to tweak things. We're not going to do exactly the same thing, but the majority of the playing group now know what's expected. And, you know, we spent a lot of time this year working on standards and what it takes to, you know, this is a high performance comp, it's the state league footy. So, you know, we've got to become elite in our standards and the way we approach training and learning about the game as well. And, you know, that's taken probably a good chunk of the season, putting all that sort of simple stuff in place. So, you know, the guys know what they need to do now.